All right, let's talk about something that pretty much affects every single one of us in India: income tax. Now, I know what you're thinking, but this isn't just about forms and numbers. This is the story of a massive, and I mean massive, digital revolution. Let's dive right in.
To really get where we're headed, it's kind of helpful to look way, way back. This ancient quote from the poet Kalidas, it frames taxes perfectly. It's not about the government just taking money. It's about a cycle, right? An investment we all make in our society with the expectation that it comes back to us, making things better.
So, here's our game plan for today. We'll kick things off with the why behind taxes. Then, we'll take a quick journey through time, see how things used to be. After that, we'll get into the big digital shift, see what it means for your wallet, and finally, take a peek at what's coming next.
Okay, first things first. Before we get lost in all the tech and the big numbers, let's just ground ourselves for a second. Why do we even pay income tax? Well, turns out, it's the very bedrock of a functioning country.
Look, it's pretty simple. The tax you and I pay, that's the fuel that runs the country. It's what pays for our schools, our hospitals, the roads we drive on. It helps create jobs, it builds our infrastructure, and it keeps the nation secure. It's really the collective buy-in we all make for a stable and fair society.
Now for a little trip down memory lane. The journey from dealing with mountains of paperwork to just making a few clicks on a screen, it's pretty wild, and it really puts into perspective just how huge these recent changes have been.
So get this, the idea of an income tax in India starts all the way back in 1860. For decades, it was all manual, super complicated. The first tiny spark of change was in 1981 with some early computers, but the real game changer, that was 2009 with the Centralized Processing Centre. This was a huge deal, moving from scattered local offices to one single tech-powered hub.
And all that modernization has had a huge, huge impact. Just look at this number, 36%. That is the incredible jump in the number of tax returns filed in just the last 5 years. It's a crystal clear sign that more people are participating and doing so willingly.
And this chart, wow, this tells an amazing story. You can see direct tax collections went from about 12 lakh crores just a few years ago to a projected 27 lakh crores. It's more than doubled. That doesn't just show a stronger economy, it shows a much more efficient system at work. And all that extra revenue, that gives the government way more firepower for new projects and tax relief.
Which brings us right to the heart of our story today, the digital transformation. This is where India's tax system went from being this confusing maze to a smart, streamlined platform.
I mean, the difference between the old way and the new way is it's night and day. We've gone from having to show up in person to a totally faceless digital system. Slow, manual work that was full of mistakes has been replaced by smart, automated systems that check the data. What's the result? It's faster, it's more accurate, and it's way more transparent for all of us.
And a key piece of this new digital puzzle is the Annual Information Statement, or AIS. Think of it like your financial report card for the year, all neatly put together in one place. Its entire reason for existing is to make your life easier by cutting out the guesswork and making everything crystal clear.
So how does this magic actually happen? Well, the system automatically pulls in your financial data from all over, your bank, your investments, you name it. Then it uses all that info to pre-film most of your tax return for you. All you have to do is check it over, make any little changes, and hit File. It's like having a personal assistant do all the boring work.
Okay, we've covered the history and the tech. Now for the part you probably care about the most. What does all this digital efficiency actually mean for your bank account?
This is the big question, isn't it? All these reforms, all this slick technology, how does it translate into real tangible benefits for the average person? Well, the latest budget has some very clear answers.
Take a good look at this number, 12.75 lakh rupees. Just let that sink in for a second. This single figure represents one of the biggest reliefs we've seen for middle-class taxpayers.
So here's what it means. Under the new tax system, if you're a salaried individual and you earn up to 12.75 lakh rupees a year, you will now pay zero income tax. Yep, you heard me right, zero. This is all thanks to a mix of rebates and a standard deduction, a direct payoff of this new, simpler digital system.
And hey, the good news doesn't stop there. You now have a lot more time, 4 years in fact, to file an updated return if you need to. For senior citizens, the limit on interest income before tax gets deducted is now doubled to 1 lakh rupees, and the threshold for tax collected on some overseas spending has also been raised, giving you a bit more wiggle room. So, what's next on the horizon?
Well, this journey of reform isn't over. The next big push is all about making the tax system not just easier to use, but a whole lot easier to understand.
There's a new income tax bill on the way, and its whole mission is to replace that ancient 1961 law that's been patched up a million times. The main goal? Just simplify it. Rewrite the whole thing in plain English and get rid of all the confusing, outdated stuff. It's all about making the tax code accessible to everybody, not just the experts.
And that brings us to our final thought. As technology keeps making the system more open, more automated, and more trustworthy, you gotta wonder, is our whole relationship with taxes changing for good? It really feels like we're moving from a system based on complexity and fear to one built on clarity and, just maybe, a little bit of trust. Something to think about. Thanks for watching.